Welcome back to Open Line tonight. We're talking about Dismas House. I hope you have heard of it. If not, stick around for the next half hour. You're going to learn all about what Dismas does right here in our community. And Gerald, as I was reading about Dismas House, Gerald, by the way, Brown is the CEO, Steve, one of the clients there. This idea, what you all have done here at Dismas House, has been replicated across the nation now. That's pretty incredible. It speaks volumes to the success.
Well, it just speaks to the need that's in the community, and we've just been so fortunate and blessed to be able to have an impact on people's lives. You know, if we weren't having an impact that's preventing people from going back to incarceration, then we need to pivot and see what it is that we're not doing to help. And we've just been blessed of the folks that have come through our doors to be able to help them transition successfully back into society and not go back to prison and being, you know, a far cry from going back to that lifestyle or behavior.
We've talked financially about how you guys make it happen, both public and private support. Volunteers are a critical aspect of this. Steve, talk to me about how volunteers have helped you in the last 90 days.
Man, I don't think we have enough time for all that, but Miss Lynn is so sweet. She comes in and has classes with us, and she saw my bracelets that I make, and she actually bought one and she showed them to friends. But we have other volunteers that come in as well that just sit down and talk with us like they've known us their whole life. And you know, it's kind of comfortable to go, hey man, you know, this person's talking to me, don't even know me, but they're not judging me. Right. So we've had volunteers come to us and say, hey, you know, what do you need? What would you like to do? Do you need help going somewhere? Do you need help with clothing? You know, just there's many things that the volunteers do, especially at dinner. They ask you about your day, you know, where you're from, and just a casual conversation, just something you don't get in prison or when you come out if you're just in any kind of halfway house. People genuinely pouring into you and caring about you. Yeah, they really want to know the truth about you. They're not fake about it. They want you to succeed. They want to be part of your team of success. And Gerald, I remember stories from last year at the forgiveness luncheon, which we'll talk about a couple who was dedicated to taking one of the gentlemen to his doctor's visits because he was battling cancer and just almost daily.
One of our residents, John Jenkins Jr., was with us about a month, and then through our kind of mental health and physical assessments, we came to the conclusion that he had stage 4 liver cancer, and that permeated throughout our organization, from our staff to our other residents to our volunteers, on what is it that we can do to rally behind John to help him fight this, because although he was diagnosed with, you know, terminal cancer, let's see if he can beat that. And he had 90 days at the time, and he outlived that diagnosis up to 6 months. So we were very proud of that. But long and the short, without Lynn and Newell really being a part of John's life, I don't know if he would have outlived that additional diagnosis, but they were there for him every day with food, with taking him to appointments, from conversations to really just making his last days on earth as comfortable as they could be. Yeah. It is so very critical. Let's talk about what's coming up next week, the Forgiveness Luncheon. This is really a marquee event for Dismas House. Started not too long ago by you, I do believe. What is it, and what does it do for Dismas? It's an opportunity for us to go into the community and really share what it is that our impact is on the former offender population. It's an opportunity to share where our past, our present, and our future is, and then give people the opportunity to support us if they choose to do so. It's underwritten by sponsors, community sponsors, so there's zero expense to the organization whatsoever, and there's no obligation to give. Our main purpose is to make people aware, and if they feel so moved to support us, then we would love their support. So I mean, it is a fundraising luncheon, and it's a great way to just do a little bit or a lot to support a great organization. I mean, let's not be shy about what it is. I mean, well, this exists because of people who give. Yes, very much so. We wouldn't been able to provide the dental services for Steve if it wasn't for the generosity of people in the community donating to us and providing food to no cost to Steve, providing you know, basic hygiene needs to Steve and all of our other residents if we didn't have the support of the community financially. So, and I can say, just from being the MC last year, when you have the district attorney show up, when you have the sheriff show up to lend their support,
and then you're doing something right. They don't come to things where things are going wrong or not helping in the community, right?
Well,
I mean, I think that's easy to see.
Well, we're fortunate. We just go about our business of helping people, and we really are blessed that these entities in the community are engaged with us and partner with us to provide the best services that we can, because these guys deserve it. You know, they've paid their debt to society. It's up to us now to be that bridge between them successfully transitioning back into society, and we couldn't do it without our partners.
I think that you said, and here's the information on your screen, by the way, if you want to know more about the Forgiveness Luncheon. It's coming up quick next Wednesday, I do believe, right, Gerald?
Yes.
So if you
next Thursday at Renaissance Hotel.
Yeah, so find out more by going there. And is there a website folks can go to?
Yeah, dismas.org, dismas.org. Yeah,
okay. Easy enough to find out that way. Let's talk about, you said I think 300 people apply for one spot inside Dismas House. How do you pick the people? How do people qualify? Who are you looking for?
It's a difficult thing because if we're serving, we get 300 applications, and on average we serve 20 people a year. That means we're turning away 280 people that really want to be a part of our program. And so what we look for is somebody like Steve who really wants it, that doesn't really want to go back to jail. They've done that. They've done that for, you know, a couple times in their lives. Now it's time to try something different. So it's really up to the individual. The individual, based on the interview process, we have 2 sets of interviews prior to someone being admitted to our program, and then through that interview process, a determination is made on if this person is a good fit for Dismas, and then Dismas is a good fit for them. Because there's the accountability aspect of it is really on the individual. If someone really doesn't want to live a straight and narrow lifestyle and be a productive citizen in society, then there's nothing we can do to help change that for them. All we do is provide resources for them to expedite that process. So it's really up to the individual. The hard part, though, Carrie, is when we have 4 or 5 great candidates and we have 1 bed. And that's the part that, you know, is a tough decision, especially if all 4 of those candidates are being released at the same time.
Because the idea is to take the person as they are getting out from prison that very day,
very much so,
and come to Dismas.
Yes.
There's no lag time in between.
No,
one to the other.
Yeah.
Steve, you were talking about that moment you arrived. You said you had been in and out of prison a couple of times before. How did arriving at Dismas feel differently this time than what you had done before?
Actually had the feeling that I know I want to go through this. I actually requested for a halfway house, but being at Dismas, as soon as I got there, it wasn't, okay, go into your room, unpack, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and Denario was like, okay, what do you need, man? You need something to drink? You hungry? You know, what can we do for you right this second? And that's the most important thing, because your first 72 hours out, you're thinking, who am I going to go see? What can I do? How can I contact my buddy? You know, and you don't need that. That's the worst thing to do. It's, hey, what do you need? What can we do for you? Where do you need to stand right this second to get your life going forward and not backwards again?
How do you feel like you've been held accountable in your time at Dismas?
Accountable as?
Just being able to walk on the straight and narrow. Like, how are you keeping your feet on that path?
Because I don't want to let Mr. Gerald down. Basically, he's done so much for me. I don't want to let my dad down. But they remind you every day, hey, it's easy to slip. So we got a program, Monday through Thursday, there's a program. You don't have time to mess up. You know, you can't wake up in the morning and turn the TV on. TVs aren't allowed till 4:30, but they got us computers. We each have our own individual computer to look for jobs, to do just research, contacting our family, things like that, to look for potential places to live if we only want to stay 90 days. So my goal is to stay at least a year, and then hopefully either be a volunteer or an employee at Dismas House next year. So that's my goal, to stay straight.
Gerald, behind the scenes working, how do you keep people accountable?
Well, it's really up to the individual. You know, just case in point, we had a young man that we asked to be removed from our organization just this past Friday. is because he wasn't showing up for programming. He wasn't showing up for dinners. He wasn't really following the protocol that everyone else is following to stay on that straight and narrow to be productive. So that took about 6 weeks. And it came to a head that over that 6 weeks time frame that he didn't really want to be a part of our program, and it's, that was his choice. We weren't holding him hostage or anything like that. It was merely up to him. It's up to the individual. Anybody can leave at any point. There's no binding obligation for someone to be there. They're there because they want to be there, and it's up to us as staff members in the community to provide the services to help them successfully transition.
Tell me about, you guys keep saying programming. What does that look like?
Well, so programming happens roughly Monday through Thursday, and then there's some things that can happen over the weekends, but we really try to be lenient on everything. So what I mean by that is whatever each of the guys need to do throughout the course of the day, then they go about their business and doing that. Whatever we could do to help them, then that's part of the program throughout the course of the day. In the evening times, we try to have integration from volunteers through our community dinners where they come and break bread with our guys, and it's a really good way for our guys to have social skills and just communicate with somebody with an unbiased conversation. And then either before or after that, the programming consists of some type of teaching skills, some type of workforce development, some type of opportunity to open the horizons of our guys that they might not have never known before.
Can you give me an example of what that might be?
Great point was we had General Clerk Howard Gentry come by and talk to the guys about getting their records expunged. One of our guys in particular is getting over 10 offenses removed from his record, and he had no idea that could happen because some of those were low-level offenses that he can get removed. So those type of things, and we've had folks that are come in and just giving their testimonial. There was a DA here in town, Keita Hayes, that came in, and a lot of people don't know her story, but she was incarcerated as well, and now I'm sorry, she's a public defender, and now she came in and kind of shared with our guys, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. So it's all kind of different ways. Yoga was mentioned as well.
I would like to see that.
that the guys can really get an opportunity to expand their horizons and learn from different experiences that they were never privy to before.
It may be the key to stress relief. Someone would say, this is for me when it comes to stress relief. Who knows? Who knows? I like that. Now, you have mentioned the word lenient, but I know that there's also goal setting. But then there's the responsibility of, like, here are your goals. Now you got to make them happen, right? Is that kind of the mindset?
Yeah, it's like, okay, Steve, what is it that you want to accomplish? Is that something that you feel you could accomplish in the first 90 days or the next, 6 months? And which ones are the highest priority? And then we go about, how can we do that? What is it that you want to do, and what do we need to do, and what do you need to do as the resident? And then we follow up on that on a weekly basis. And if the goals aren't met, it's okay. There's some learning to be had from some failures.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
How to fail.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really up to the individual, and it's up to them on their own time frame.
Steve, I wonder what have been your goals in the last 90 days that you've been there?
As soon as I got there, the next day, Denario talked to me. We put out a goal sheet. My first day there, my first week, the first month, first 90 days, what I wanted. So every week when I have my programming with Denario, my counselor, he asked me, okay, what did you accomplish this week? So my goal was to be able to contact my family. And I did that, to get my Social Security card. So every week that I went there, he marked it off. And he would ask me, what do we need to do for you to help you? What do we need to get you settled? And I'd tell him, just what y'all are doing, just believing in me. But Denario would actually help me, got materials for my bracelets so I can make my bracelets and sell my bracelets, instead of saying, that's something you did in the chain gang, you're not going to do it here. He said, hey, that's a good idea. And Mr. Gerald said, that's a good idea. Why don't you expand that idea? Why don't you do it this way? This is how you can do it. This is how you can start a business. So they've actually brought in entrepreneurs to talk to us that's been in prison and gotten out and started their own businesses, and then they tell us, hey, that's a good idea. This is what I did. Maybe you can do this.
Let me see this bracelet anyway. You've been talking about it. I love it. It's beautiful.
It's recycled glass, and these are made out of hemp and earring.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Great work. Absolutely great work. So you're hoping to do, is this what you're hoping to do in the future?
I actually do it now, and I sell them on Broadway. Julius is another resident. He makes crosses. They're beautiful, and he makes them out of trash bags.
Oh my gosh.
And you would never believe that. But me and him right now are learning together how to put it on Facebook, Instagram, and kind of network. We're both learning together how to network what we learned in prison to bring out here to make our needs
to make it a legitimate business.
Right. Instead of going, hey, I'm gonna go out here and hustle.
Right.
It's, but you really like this, you know. So while he's in his transition to getting work, that's how he gets his extra money, by selling his jewelry. And I mean, it's amazing that people don't realize what you can learn while you're in prison. They think it's just negative, 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 but it's not. If you take something positive and you bring it home with you, and you got people like Mr. Gerald and Denario and Brian and Dismas House saying, hey, don't put it in the closet and leave it alone. You got a talent. Show our residents that are coming in, hey, this is what you are, this is what you can be. And that's how I was my first day. Everybody the next morning was like, oh, hey, welcome here, you know, welcome home. Not, hey, welcome to a halfway house. So it makes you feel comfortable, and that makes you want to succeed in your goals.
Yeah. You want to be a success story now. Yeah. All right. We're going to take another quick break. More on Dismas House when we come back. Stay with us.